Hi there, Wanderers. How are you today? Start by coloring in your Christmas lights and taking a few deep breaths. Have you been thinking about God's love? And how this big, beautiful story even includes you and me? I sure have. And we have a lot more investigating to do. So let's get started on the Wonderfully podcast.
Merry Christmas, Wanderers! Christmas is my favorite.
The very first Christmas.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. What do you wonder about?
There was a big reason for him to be born in a small place.
Come, you're invited to go see the new king.
A family squished them into the space that they did have.
What do you guys think?
Like he cares about everybody.
Sounds like good news to me.
Today, I'm taking you back into storyteller Luke's book in the Bible, in chapter 1. Don't forget to write down any wonderings you have in the I Wonder box as we go through the story. Here's some of what Luke wrote about it. God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth.
I remember that Gabriel came to Mary and was like, "You're going to have a baby who's going to be the Son of God. He's going to be the Messiah." And Mary was like, "Ah." And Gabriel was like, "You got this, girl."
Gabriel, the angel, came to her and explained that her son is the Messiah. So she'd be like, okay.
So, I'm pretty sure Mary was just about to get married to Joseph, and then Gabriel came and said, "You're having the Son of God," and she's like, "But how?" And he's like, "You just are."
To a young girl who was engaged to marry a man named Joseph. Her name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings, you are highly favored. The Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his father David, and he will reign forever. His kingdom will never end." "How will this happen?" Mary asked the angel. The angel answered, "God will put this baby inside of you, so the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God." "I am the Lord's servant," Mary answered. "May everything you have said about me come true." Can you imagine it? A young girl has an angel appear, tell her that God has chosen her to carry the rescuer, and she says yes. This is a very special moment. I have a lot of wonderings about this, don't you?
So she was probably scared at first, as it says.
I have a question. If Jesus was the Son of God, would that mean that Mary and God were married?
I wonder why she's so highly favored.
Well, I feel like if I were Mary, I'd be so confused.
She was quick to jump the gun, like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'm down." You know, pretty easily, like, convinced, which can either show the, like, power of God, I think.
Overwhelmed and stressed. Confused. Because, like, if I'm just engaged, getting married is a big thing. And having a baby, too? Crazy.
Confused, but also maybe a bit understanding.
I wonder why, God just, chose Mary.
We know that Mary is a very brave person in the Bible.
I think that Mary has a sister. that was pregnant at the same time. Cousin that was pregnant at the same time.
And I remember that it was like, she was like, Mary's cousin was like too old to have a baby, but then God worked a miracle and gave her cousin the opportunity to have a baby.
Later, when Mary was pregnant, she went to visit her cousin Elizabeth, who was also pregnant. As soon as Mary greeted her cousin, Luke the storyteller writes that Elizabeth's baby leaped within her.
That's funny, but also very cute.
Is it John the Baptist?
How would they know that he lived inside of her stomach?
When Mary went to see Elizabeth when they were both pregnant, when Mary got there, John the Baptist leaped inside of Elizabeth's stomach of excitement.
That's how special the baby inside Mary was. Elizabeth was so happy to see Mary and said, "You are blessed because you believed that God would do what he said he would do." Mary burst into a beautiful song that starts with this line, "My soul magnifies the Lord." You could also say, "My soul glorifies the Lord." What do you think this means? Joseph has a special story too. Matthew the storyteller writes it this way. This is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah came about. His mother Mary was engaged to be married to Joseph, but before they came together, she became pregnant. Joseph was a good man who followed the law and didn't want to disgrace Mary, so he was going to break up with her quietly. But an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, "Joseph, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because the baby in her is from God. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will rescue his people." When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel told him to, and took Mary home as his wife.
I feel like that was a smart choice for Joseph.
I wonder how Mary felt.
Did he break up with her?
Yeah, did he actually end up, like, leaving Mary?
But he did not consummate their marriage until she gave birth to a son. And he gave him the name Jesus. Again, Joseph was just a normal guy who wanted to marry his favorite Mary. Then he got confused about why she had a baby growing inside her and thought he'd better not marry her. But an angel appeared to him and said, "This is a God plan." And Joseph said yes. Here's what I noticed about Mary and Joseph's story. Both of them were invited by God to be a part of what he was doing. They both said yes, even though they were afraid or confused at first. Following along with what God was doing took courage and trust. And you know what? The same is true for you and me. Remember how the good news is for all? And remember how God's love story includes you and me? We are invited into God's story. We can say yes too. And even if sometimes we are afraid or unsure, we can ask God for courage and trust. This is what I love about stories in the Bible. These are just regular people. Jesus' parents, Mary and Joseph, are a great example of what can happen when you trust God and say yes. When this episode ends, take a few minutes to write a prayer telling God about all this. Tell God what you think or feel about it all. Or maybe you want to say yes to God's invitation to you. And maybe you have more questions. Don't forget to ask for courage and trust too.
Dear God, help me to be courageous and trust you.
Fill in that good news check with any good news you found today. I love all the good news I'm noticing as we make our way through these moments in the Bible. God invites us. That's really good news.
Good news! Jesus came to be with us, inviting everybody in. Mary and Joseph said yes.
Only 19 more sleeps till Christmas. I'm getting really excited. Thanks for listening, Wanderers.